大家好, I'm Bala from Bala's Simple Chinese School. If you are a beginner, intermediate, advanced, looking for HSK study, business Chinese, or simply want to improve your everyday communication, I'm the teacher for you. Come and join me for a free trial class at Bala's Simple Chinese School.
Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. This is part 2 of my chat with Rachel on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Alright, let's talk about your bands and your musical projects that you've been into. But we said this before, I sort of know you just as Rachel.
Yeah, a lot of people do, I think.
And here I am asking how to pronounce your surname. Because I actually didn't know until today. So, yeah, everywhere, even when I wasn't playing in a band, when I first come to Shanghai, I was like, Rachel. Rachel's in this band, Rachel's in that band, Rachel's a DJ.
It must be so annoying to some people. Like, oh my god, this girl. Will she just chill out?
And just on flyers and, just word of mouth and always playing. And even when I wasn't playing, I'd go out and watch a show. I wouldn't say all the time, but some of the time you're in this band, you're going up and doing like one or two songs, you're doing a DJ set.
Yeah.
So I'm always sort of seeing you. So was it time when you come to Shanghai was like, okay, I've got to do this? Or like you said before, Fliphouse, it just sort of fell into it?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I was really nervous on stage at first with Fliphouse. And I went to Ryan and I was like, this gets easier, right? It gets less nerve-wracking, right? And he goes, no.
Well, so you said that you had like this huge panic attack.
Yeah.
How did that gig go then?
It went okay. I mean, like I had that moment where I was trying to get out my door, and then I thought about them and how much they grounded me all these years. So I thought, I think once I see their faces and they're giving me this permission to come up and fuck up if I do, it's not the end of the world. They love me. So I'm up there with people that I love, that love me. So it's going to be okay, right?
You know what? Sorry to cut you off there again.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that I always used to do, I always played guitar. Anyway, being in this band that did tours up the East Coast, and I would get nervous.
Yeah.
I'd be thinking about, I've got to get new strings, and I've got to make sure that the amp's working right, and I got to do this. I'm just like, anxious. Then I see the guys, and it's like,
yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, and you're up there together.
Yeah,
you're carrying this thing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if something happens, they're just gonna keep playing, and then it all works out.
Yeah, and there's so many moving parts, like you said. There's the amp, there's the mic, there's the cables, there's a myriad of stuff that has to work with you.
And especially with the Snuff Disco. Oh my
god. Man, yeah, especially with Snuff Disco, yeah.
Actually, we'll go forward a little bit because we had the battles of the bands. Both of our bands were on that set, and the rules were you had to have 10 minutes to set up. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd cut into your show.
Yeah.
You guys need like an hour to set up. You
Yeah,
got
there's
you've
a
got
lot of
all
stuff.
these
For a 3-piece band, you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of things going on to make the sound that you have.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little bit unfair. That I guess that's the rules.
Yeah, and one of the mics died, so me and
Yes.
Tyler had to share the mic on stage, which was beautiful
Yeah.
in its own way and symbolic. But yeah, I mean, the Snuff Disco sound really came from fusing our styles together because, like I said, I was making like synth pop by myself, like melodic, like reverby vocal synth pop. That's what I was comfortable just doing from out the gate with like with different like arpeggiators and like different loops. And then in quarantine, when nobody had shit to do, me and two of the Fliphouse guys got together, and I would just start playing stuff I was working on, and then Ryan on the bass and Tyler on the guitar would just start doing awesome stuff, like on top of it. And I was like, whoa. And it was like you took two styles that really weren't supposed to be together. And I was really into like gothic stuff and a little bit more like heavier, like 9 Inch Nails and like The Cure, and like I really liked that stuff, but they didn't really have exposure to that. So when I sort of like pushed it on them and was like, maybe let's try to do something like that, they found it so fun.
Well, what were those guys listening to? I mean, I can assume what they were listening to with their style of music, but what did the guys listen to in Fliphouse?
They're really into like Joyce Manor and like brand new emo bands, Hospital Bracelet,
right?
That kind of stuff. It almost borders on mathy
Right.
a little bit because it's very active and it's very like in your face. And Tyler is like an incredible lyricist.
Yes,
He's an incredible lyricist. And I remember when I started to sing in our jams, like I would be like shaking with my notepad of words, and I would try something, and he was so beautifully helpful in being like, I love that line. That's an amazing line. I love where you're coming from with that. Maybe like for the sake of syllables, put this here and we can rhyme this word with this. And he took my ideas and like so respectfully made them better, made them musical, because I didn't know how those things fit just yet. I'd always written poetry, but I didn't know how it fit into music, and they taught me everything about that.
right.
Which is so cool.
That's really interesting. I'm always interested to hear about how you write music, like for yourself. I mean, we're all writing, like musicians, they write music by themselves, but when they put it together, so how was the writing process for Fliphouse? Like, were you coming up with musical ideas, or were you just coming up mainly lyrics?
It happens in so many different ways. I think for the boys, like, they'll put together riffs, and I can't say that words come easily to Tyler, but it looks like it. It looks like it does. So he's always been the front man of that band, and when I sort of came in, it was like, okay, here's like two singers, here's like, we both have a front person ego. Even I did off the gate before I like even started to write stuff. But learning how to harmonize our ideas, not just our vocals, but like bringing in and so they watching them make songs, it was always like, oh, that's cool, what if we try this? I'm like, oh, that's cool, oh, that works. So like having it come together and respecting each other's ideas, like they had really been in that practice for a really long time. Right. So to see that was like so cool. Yeah. So cool.
So did they already do the first album before you joined, or was it after you joined?
Yeah, they had already done their first album, and they're so tight too, because they will like write their songs and practice them a lot, and that's why they're so tight on stage. Yes. Because they're really serious about practicing. So being able to see that and have them really trust what they're doing and bring it on stage, like they wouldn't really mess up or get too messy because they know it so well, which was so cool.
And then for the second album, you obviously would have had more contributions to it.
I mean, I was still learning how to make music, so I think they were just really open to me being around, and like I had a song and everything. And when we, and I would go to all their shows because I just, you know, I love those guys. And when we were in Beijing, it was like I was going to do my song. Tyler started losing his voice. And we were going to have this show. And they looked at me and they're like, Rach, if Tyler's voice is shot by tomorrow, like, can you sing all the words? And I'm like, I think I can. I know all these words really well. I've been to every show. I think I can. He ended up being okay, and I didn't need to do that, but I was on stage with them for most of it, just doing backup for them.
So you're on standby to jump into the front man.
And that, like, that sense of responsibility to, like, be able to do that. I'm like, yeah, I'll step up to the plate. I think I can do it. I know all the words.
What a rush.
Yeah. Really is.
Especially for the band, that's good to know that you could do that if that ever happened sort of again. Yeah. You know, ride or die. And then, like, Fliphouse play everywhere as well. That's like another bit, like yourself, like Fliphouse are always, it's like, who are these guys, Fliphouse? So, no, they're a really cool band, and definitely another one like Rat King, sort of waving the flag for the original music in Shanghai. So lots of respect and love for those guys. So
for sure.
You said with Snuff Disco, you were the sort of the main person, and then they would come in and write some music. So it's completely opposite to what you're doing with Fliphouse. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was really exciting for them because Tyler got to step back and really hone in on his guitar skills, and Ryan had just picked up a bass for the first time. He'd never even done that. So all of us were playing in these very new spaces, and I think that's what made it so conductive to being able to create. Like, we created so many songs so fast and just loved it, and it was just the three of us with like all these pedals and the computer doing the drums. We had the automated drums, learning how to do that. And when we started writing that stuff in Ryan's apartment, like, we were like, this is so fun, you know? Like, Fliphouse is fun and emotional, but this was more like club-ready, borders on a little bit pop. Like, it's just so fun. And we were like, the only thing missing is the people around us. Because I think they're going to really like it. And it's funny what the words are about, too, because I didn't really know what to write about except for like love and longing and like sort of like it tended to be a little like sensual, but I watch a lot of true crime. Right. And my dad was a cop, so we ended up writing a lot of narrative stories about like murder and like vigilantism and like the Unabomber and like just crazy stuff.
Whether you want to admit it or not, it's interesting. It's
people
are gonna watch it or listen to it.
and we just like hit that spot of like, this is so like strange and weird, but how fun is it to like write around like fictional narratives? Like, I think that was easier for me to do because I was like I was not taking it so personally. It was like, let's like create these characters and this like vibe, you know, that was just really edgy and aesthetic, you know, because art is a big part of Snuff Disco as well. Like, we were really into having fog at the right times, doing like live painting for me. We have a song that's about the MK Ultra testing, you know, which was sort of like worldwide in the 70s and 80s, and experimenting, just different psychiatric wards, putting people through these crazy experiences. And so I had the idea to, while this like song is just going crazy, like do a bunch of Rorschach tests on like ink or fake blood and like be doing them in the crowd. And then when the song explodes, I just like rip it up and I just start writhing on the floor and there's fake blood flying everywhere, and it's interactive at that point. So cool. That's where it got really theatrical, and people would be like, what is going on? You know, so that's really fun because people were like jarred by it.
How many people are doing that though?
Yeah, it was like,
especially in Shanghai anyway.
No. Super cool. And it organically came together, honestly. Like, it was just one of those things that's like, wouldn't that be fun to do? And for me, just like going crazy on stage was this huge outlet of emotion from the week or the month or anything. And people enjoyed watching it, you know, as psychotic as it looks. Yeah.
So for I know that you did it maybe once or twice, maybe you did it more, but playing on the same show, how was that for you? I mean, especially if Snuff Disco played first, put a whole lot of energy into it, and then psych yourself up again and go and play with Fliphouse. So how was that for you?
They're different modes, really, and they seem like two completely different bands. But it was more like two birds, one stone thing, because we're dragging our gear to one show instead of two throughout the week. But we did end up getting them more separated because Snuff Disco started getting booked with more stuff in our wheelhouse.
Similar style.
Yeah, more like post-punk and like techie stuff. And with Snuff Disco too, it was opportunistic that it had more tech elements in it because we got to play in techno clubs here.
Right.
We got to play an all club, an elevator, where we were the only act and the DJs would go hard. So it exposed us to so many like new audiences that really just wanted to dance and see something cool. Because Snuff Disco is really dancey, as like melodic and sort of haunting as it can be. The set moves through different moods. And with both Fliphouse and Snuff Disco, we sort of have this unspoken rule of like 30-minute set, that's it.
Right. Bang it out.
Yeah, because even if you go to a show of a band you really like, they're up there for an hour and you're like, there's just something in your brain that's like, this sort of sound, it sort of started to bleed together. So when we just cut it to 30 minutes max, it was always people being like, we want more, I like more songs, encore. Like, and it's like, no, come to the next show.
I love that's why I love the Ramones. Like, I think they probably played 40 songs, but I never got to see them play. But yeah, they played for like 45 minutes to an hour. They'd play 45 songs in that set. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the kids would go crazy.
Totally.
Short, sweet, get off. No encores, no, just in your face for one after the other.
Yeah. I think we had a good omen too because our first Snuff Disco show, somebody proposed in the crowd.
Yeah, right.
To their girlfriend. Yeah, that was like, what? There's videos of it. It was so cool.
Wow.
And we were just so excited that happened.
Did you know that?
No.
What a random...
I hope they're doing well. I think about them all the time.
Oh, I've seen flake blood. Hey, you want to get married?
No, for sure. So hilarious. Yeah, in C's Bar, no less.
Oh, right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Even still. But did you do some touring with Snuff Disco as well? Did you do recordings? And what are you going to do with Snuff Disco now that you're going to leave? Are you still going to sort of electronically sort of keep it still together, send music back and forth, do recordings?
We didn't get to do Snuff Disco too much outside of Shanghai, which I think is a shame. We got to do a show at Mao Live House though, which was really big for us because it's a huge place.
Yeah.
I saw like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard play there. I saw the drums play there, so that was huge. And the way they do sound is just so beautiful. So that was so cool. But with all the travel restrictions, we really weren't able to bring it to the rest of the world. And when we had the second lockdown, I had already sort of been thinking about, maybe relocating to Thailand or going to Hong Kong to be with my boyfriend. So I was I had this guilt of like, what's going to happen to the band? But we've been recording for the last year. It's like Tyler built his own music studio.
That's amazing.
That's the other thing. Like when we started doing the drums and stuff automated for Snuff Disco, he like learned how to be a producer at the same time. He just took that on.
That's great.
So he just got so into all that and it helped us so much. But in the lockdown, his girlfriend got pregnant. So it was like, oh my gosh, the band is done, but because of this brand new life, you know? So I couldn't even be mad, and I was like, it's sad that it's ending, but we were all sort of gonna go in different ways anyway.
Yeah.
And with Tyler leaving, me and Ryan both knew that you can't just get there's not another Tyler in this earth. There's really not. So we knew that it was sort of the end of it, but we have all the stems. We recorded most of our songs, so hopefully we can finally release it.
And the other one good thing about that with the Shanghai, and it's a shame that Fliphouse but that's just gonna get someone. Ryan might find someone else. He might do another project and might create this whole different style of music. That's what I just love about the Shanghai. People just from anywhere are just coming in, just meeting for the first time. Hey, let's jam on some tunes and
see what comes of it.
Yeah,
it's transient. Yeah,
beautiful music.
It guts me that Snuff Disco is ending, because that was my first ever real musical project. You know, so like your first band is always gonna have a special place in your heart, and I don't know what the future looks like, but. And I do solo stuff as well, which is totally different. And some people will say, "Oh, well, I like that much more than Snuff Disco."
And that's different. And that's what I want to talk about now.
Okay, great, yeah.
So your solo stuff, were you doing that during Fliphouse and during Snuff Disco?
During both, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was just another thing to do. I think once I just started making music, I couldn't stop.
Because I saw some photos of you, like with your guitar, which I may have seen you once, but not very often. But yeah, you're playing your guitar as well. So open mics, is that just something for fun, just to get some?
I think it was really like to keep myself up to snuff with writing.
Right.
Even though when we weren't together in the writing room, it's something that I could do at home and also experiment with other styles, because like I said, I was like really into the synth pop stuff. That's just what came out. And then again, I really like folk stuff. I like acoustic stuff. Like I love Leonard Cohen. And so when it came to writing more folk stuff, which is either like acoustic folk, that's me, or like on a guitar, or like the folktronica stuff, it lets me write about anything like mysticism and shamanism and deities, and I've always just been super into that sort of stuff. So just writing about really bizarre things, it feels more to me like a channeling. And when I'm solo, then I can really explore whatever that means, and there's no barriers at all. So I've really enjoyed doing that, and I got to play a solo show in Beijing, and that was really cool. I hit up 2 different spots. And the way people have received it it's just been so kind, and people are like, I've never heard anything like this, and when I started writing it, I was like, nobody's gonna want to listen to this. I've never heard anything like this. This is weird. Yeah. You know, but then it turns out that the opposite is true, and that just gives you so much confidence to keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said before, like when you're learning how to play the instruments and when you're listening to it, the freedom to create a song, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you go back and do your own things, I think that's great.
And also, like, with my boyfriend being long distance for 3 years, a lot of my songs were to him. Right. A lot of my songs are sung about him, about us, to him. And I think, like...
Is that hard for you to release that to public, for other people to sort of... Or do you sort of metaphor it and try and hide it in the song? Do they know that you're singing about him? Or?
It's pretty obvious, I think, but I've had a couple moments on stage, you know, in the last year where it, like, the time has really added up how much I miss him, and like I've like broken into tears like on stage, and the crowd like helps me get it together.
That's
and it's so hard because I'm like yeah, this is a meditation to this person, and I miss them so much, and one day I'll see them, but I don't know when. And since the songs are written straight to this person, it's like, here's a brand new language that I wasn't able to speak before. And I can say things through a song that I can't really chit-chat about.
Yes.
Either through metaphors or through just like little inside jokes in the lyrics that only Will get.
Yeah.
And like he's so receptive to it too, because like we'll be talking and he'll be like, it's like in that one song you wrote where you said ba 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 ba, and I'm like, what? We're speaking in this like index of like deep personal feelings, and it's so cool because he's my biggest fan, and what more could you ask for with that? Yeah.
And with your DJ set as well, how do you put a set together for this? Is it always changing? Are you sort of keeping to or wherever you play? Tell us about how this all come about.
That's like a totally different mode, which I found was so cool, because like with live music, you are like, it's your music first of all, and it's your words, and it's a little bit more like people are standing there to listen. But with a DJ set and playing in clubs, people are there to just like dance,
yes,
and let the music just wash over you. And I really started clubbing when I came to Shanghai, because in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, there's not really any clubs. So I used to go into clubs and just like flail around and like really lose myself in the music. And my boyfriend, when he was here, we would go out dancing, and like we just loved to dance. So when it came to getting an opportunity to learn how to DJ, I was like, yeah, that'll be a fun lesson, a way to like kill an afternoon. And my friend Charlie and my other friend Nick showed me around on the decks, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then my friend Charlie was like, great, you're gonna play New Year's Eve now. And I was like, what? Excuse me? I had one lesson. There's no way. He's like, nope, bring your music, you're playing New Year's Eve. So again, that was like diving head first, like get good fast, because you don't have a choice. Like 12 is gonna hit and everybody just wants to dance. You know what I mean? So just delving into that. And with DJ sets, the sort of standard rule is start off with a slower BPM, whether it's like 110 or 118, and work your way up to maybe like 129 or 130, depending on the kind of music you like. And I found that I really like melodic techno, house, drum and bass, breakbeat, trance. I like trance too. But I'd really only just been starting to learn all these different electronic music genres. So building a set and making the energy play together and watching the crowd, what works, what doesn't work, and really just sort of reading the room. And when my boyfriend left, it was like less fun for me to go to clubs, because like I didn't have my dancer.
Sure.
And so when I started to DJ, I had this really unique opportunity where I wasn't a dancer on the floor anymore. I was like facilitating the space so other people could have that amazing time that I used to have, you know, with their people, connecting, dancing with each other. And it let me be in a different mode and really enjoy that process so much more. So yeah, I thought that was super duper special.
Are there any other DJs out there that have an influence on, or you know, are there other...
For sure. I mean, in Shanghai specifically, there's a DJ called Gargoyle. He goes by Jans, and he plays a lot of sort of synthy, dark Italo disco that I really like, but wasn't seeing a lot. So they have an event, a couple different events, one at All Club and Elevator, and I went in there and I was like, club music can be like this, and it's lively, and it has almost those rock elements to it, and people love it. So that's when I was like, oh, I can really delve into the stuff I really, really like. And then internationally, I love Boris Brejcha, and an artist called Hojo, and they've sort of coined this term where it's like minimal techno, but they call it mellow dark. And it's sort of like, it's bouncy and dancey for sure, but it has these like ominous sort of themes and samples and stuff like that. And that stuff just drives me wild. I think it's so cool. So to find music that affects you like that, and then to be able to share it with others, that's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And also, you're not lugging like 4 cars of gear. You just have a USB stick, and that feels awful nice.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, unless you got a roadie.
It's great. But, you know, it's like when I started out, I was so new, and then immediately people were putting me on sets and giving me opportunities to get better, because you can really only learn by experience, and by seeing how it affects the people in the room and the energy. if you're like opening for somebody, if you're playing after somebody that had a different energy, like sort of getting to know the anatomy of that, like was just so cool. And I owe it to everybody that's put me on a set and took a chance on me, because it let me learn so much.
That's really cool. And why the name? Your DJ?
Oh yeah.
We spoke about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So some people know what a gargoyle is, and some people don't. So it's Gargoyle Girlfriend is the name. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I love alliteration. We love poetry out here. And I've always just loved gargoyles. They're like stone creatures, and in Gothic architecture, they're on churches, and they have sort of like bat wings and maybe like an animal face, or like a humanoid face and claws. And in Gothic architecture and medieval architecture, they are placed on holy places to ward off evil spirits. They sort of like play for the good side.
Yeah.
And we always had one at my house growing up. Like, he was like a little fountain guy with like wings, and this stone dude. And we always had him. We had like a koi fish pond when I was like very, very young. But he followed us to like our other houses. And I remember so specifically this one time I came home from college. My parents had been fighting. They've been married for like almost like 30 years now. They're incredible. But they had been fighting at the time, and I remember I came through the door into the kitchen, and the both of them are just at the kitchen table holding the wings of the gargoyle, because I guess it had fallen over.
Right.
And both the wings came off, and so they were like super gluing it together, but they had to like hold it there for like 10 minutes. And I'll just never forget like walking in on this image. And so gargoyles have always been just like deeply personal to me, because I just love creatures. I love furniture with claws on the bottom, like just that kind of stuff I'm so into. So Gargoyle Girlfriend was sort of like, it's ambiguous because people ask me like, are you the girlfriend? Is someone else the girlfriend? Blah, blah. But it's really open for, you know, interpretation. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to your first house where you actually have all these things and claws.
Yeah. You put them in gardens. They're in like cemeteries. Like, it's right up my alley. I just love that stuff.
So cool.
Like the Chinese, they have like a foo dog, you know, like outside banks and stuff. And the Thai have like a Singha, which is like a lion sculpture. So there's a lot of different names for them, but from the Western world, we call them gargoyles. Yeah.
Very interesting. So you've been here since 2018. What are your opinions of the Shanghai music scene, and where do you see that sort of heading, hopefully once everything is sort of opened up again?
Sure. With the pandemic hitting, it was actually, for the Shanghai music scene, I think, like this weird blessing and a curse, because while the rest of the world was sort of raging through the thick of the pandemic, like Shanghai was this bubble, right? So like we were allowed to do stuff while other places in the world weren't. And I felt guilty like posting shows on Instagram, like having this grand old time, because like it hadn't really hit us yet. We'd been like holding it off. But international bands started to not be able to come over here, so it was like the live houses and the venues had to fill these Saturday nights, you know? So suddenly like local DJs were able to get up there, local bands were able to get up there, and it afforded this like really interesting like renaissance, as I see it, that wouldn't have maybe happened if not for it. Whereas where I see it going, I think a lot of new bands have formed out of that, a lot of local bands. Snuff Disco was offered a record deal with Modern Sky, actually, too. So, like, they were going to bring us into, like, you know, the bigger stages and, like, do, like, Strawberry Festival and this and that.
Sorry, just Modern Sky is got to be one of the biggest stages I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's huge.
Can't believe, like, the live houses here in China.
Yeah.
Their stages is like a... It's like a house. Like
the commercial ones are no joke. They're no joke, and they're an international label as well. So they have a Modern Sky in the UK, in Germany. Right. Yeah, for sure. We ended up not taking it. I'm glad we didn't sign a contract, because then then stuff really, hit the fan. But we were sort of reluctant to give away the rights to our first music, our first album, because we weren't sure.
Such a trap,
yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Such a trap.
We were really excited at first because, like, what an honor. Like, they want, like, we were foreigners, but that label here had no foreigners at all. So we would have been the first foreign band on it. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was a huge honor.
But yeah, like you said, it's a huge trap. You got to be really careful, and you got to have lawyers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was a little tedious, and they wanted us it was a 2-year contract, and they would tell us we have to go to this festival. But we're teachers as well.
Yeah.
We can't bend to the will of their. Not to mention other stuff about it, but
you got some weekend gigs.
Yeah, exactly. So. Glad we did that because we could have lost the name now that we have to move other places because of all this and.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Plus, the scene is different now. Like, the scope of it's changed. Like, having a record deal meant like they were the only people that could press it. In the 50s, 60s, 70s. Nowadays, like, if your song takes off on TikTok. You're gold, like it's a different, everything in those big producer rooms that you needed before is on a MacBook Air. Now, you just need to know how to do it. So like the scene and the atmosphere with all that is just, it's changing radically. So you sort of got to change with it.
Yeah, that's true. But I think I always go back to the live feel. If you can't play live, I mean, forget about it.
For sure.
If you can't play in front of the crowd, then it sort of takes away the whole feel and being like a real good musician. And
yeah, that's what I care the most about. Like, even being in the recording studio, like, it's not as fun for me as being on stage with the people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, how do you what you see with Snuff Disco? How do you put that onto an album then?
Yeah.
And get that same sort of effect.
Yeah.
From your fans.
I don't know. I think the order of the songs, we were pretty careful in, like, driving the energy. But yeah, I don't know if anybody would want to listen to it on like, Spotify or NetEase. Like, time will tell, but...
Unless you get some fake blood included on there.
Yeah. So for me, having it be an experience in the night is special. And it's the same with DJing. Like... You're all there for that night, for that party. Like, it's so present.
Yes.
Yes,
agreed.
Like, you don't need to record the DJ set for somebody to listen to later because it's all about being right there. Yeah.
All right. So, you've been in Shanghai. You've been in China. What have you learned from being here?
Yeah. I mean, I think when, like, Chaos Art in the Underground started, like, that was really when live houses couldn't open yet. So C's Bar was letting us do, like, the shows in the basement there. And we started putting together just some shows, some rock shows. And I had the idea, like, well, let's, like, fuse, like, art into this. Let's get art vendors who are making their own, like, clothes and earrings. And let's have them in a room where they can vend stuff. And we'll have 3 bands, DJs after into the late night, and tattoo artists as well.
Shout out to Jesse as well, C's Bar.
Oh man, shout out to Jesse and Momo and Cash and everybody at C's Bar because they took that idea and they were like so supportive with just any ideas we had. Like, they let me paint the main room, I redid the main room.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And they really let that become a second home for me.
I mean, the first time you go down there, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Everyone's first impression is like, whoa. I didn't really think this is going to be amazing. And you go into this room and,
For the people that don't know, C's Bar is like 10 rooms underground of, like, graffiti, grime, dive madness, which is, like, anywhere to sit, and it just, in a dirty way, it feels really homey. And I remember the first Chaos we threw, it was successful off the bat. It was shoulder to shoulder packed of people.
Yeah.
And I was walking through trying to get everything where it needed to be, and I heard somebody, like an American guy, say like, I feel like I'm at home.
Mm.
He said, I feel like I'm back home. And I know that he meant like the basement shows and like that sort of thing. And it was after like 2 years of being stuck here where you couldn't go home. So to me, when I in passing heard him say that, I was like, yo, like, we're all home here because we have to be. Like, we are stuck here. This is our family as the world is like in this crazy, crazy time. And that's when I was really like, this has to be a regular thing. And it did. It just built. It just grew. Time Out like wrote that it was like the most successful monthly event in Shanghai, and it's like, damn, that's so cool. And it wouldn't have happened if not for everybody coming together to make it happen, which is just, that's the most beautiful thing. So when it comes to like what's next, I just think that learning how to coordinate all those people, learning how to scout for bands, what order they go best in, when they should play, scout for vendors, setting everything up. Like, I did that pretty much. I took the helm of that on my own, and at first it was really stressful because you'd make like a vending call and people are texting you like all hours of the day for weeks, asking about stuff and this and that, and it was stressful at first, but then it became easier and easier and easier. So if I could move into, it's community building at the base of it, you know, creating an environment that people want to come to and be together, blending art and music, which is like, again, it's, people have been doing that for hundreds of years. It doesn't get old.
Yes.
It takes on new shapes and styles and genres, but it's never going to die out. So I think no matter where I go in the world, like, I want to be making events. I want to be making nights where people are having like just unforgettable times. Yeah.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah.
That's something that I've been considering. Is Hong Kong long term, or just take it as it comes?
Not sure yet. I mean, I want to say no because, you know, like, I'm moving there to be with my boyfriend, and he's from there. So I think both of us are looking for something brand new for us. But he is also like really in line with community building and events and stuff like that. So I'm excited to be able to do that as a unit, like as a team, whatever it looks like. Like, we thought about Thailand and stuff too. There's like really cool things popping off all over the world, and there's incredible people all over the world. I think like one thing I've learned about moving to a foreign country, and I tell my friends this who are thinking about just even moving to a new state or like whatever it is, I tell them like, the people that you love, that love you, they're there already. Like, they're in your future.
Yes.
They're just waiting for you. You haven't met them yet, but they're gonna be there. They're gonna be in your life no matter where you go. There's amazing people all over the world. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Where's your social medias, Rachel? How can we get in contact with you? How can we listen to some of your music?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Gargoyle Girlfriend. Bandcamp is also Gargoyle Girlfriend. SoundCloud is also Gargoyle Girlfriend. I also have like mixes and covers on YouTube, and Spotify hopefully next.
And Fliphouse and Snuff Disco, all on
Fliphouse,
social media.
Yep, all on social media. Fliphouse is on Spotify, both albums, and they're awesome. Give them a listen. My song's there. And Snuff Disco on the way. You know, we're sending files across the world, which you can do now.
Right.
So we're still working to bring that out to people. Yeah.
And when is there end of the year, next year? No plan. Just.
Yeah, not yet. We're still sort of figuring out where we want to put our bodies. You know, there's a lot to restructure. So
there's new people coming into the lives. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. To finish off, I just ask questions, and I want you to give me your top 2 or 3 things.
Got it. All right, shoot.
All right. Are you ready, Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay. So first one, let's do a music one. I always like doing music one. Give me top 2 or 3 favorite bands of all time.
all time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would have to say...
As of today, sorry.
As of today,
yeah.
Okay. I would have to say Songs Ohia. Jason Molina, he's not with us anymore, but he was an incredible Fulbrighter. Moonface, which is the moniker of Spencer Krug. Really awesome dude. So talented. And there's a really awesome shoegaze band called Nothing. I love them as well. They're like heavy shoegaze.
Awesome.
Yeah, they played here. I saw them play here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're one of my favorites for sure.
3 bands besides your bands that you're in. Maybe a couple of bands, local bands from Shanghai.
Oh yeah. Dizong, really cool. They do like psych folk sort of stuff like that. They're incredible. Who else? Fuck Your Birthday is pretty cool.
Nice
really,
name.
Yeah. It's a 2-person band, but they don't sound like it. They're so good.
Did you sing for that?
Huh?
Last time we played with you, was it last week or the weekend before?
Oh yeah.
You filled in for.
Yeah. 2 members, Shanghai, Kuqian.
Yes.
Yeah. And they are like really famous here in China. They're like freaking massive. And they texted me that night and they were like, "You want to come up and just ad-lib with us?" And I was like, "Okay, you're one of the most famous bands, like here in China, so yeah." And we just made stuff up. So yeah, they're also like super cool, and I was honored that they asked me to just come off the cuff. Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know it was on the day.
Yeah, dude. You know, I come to embrace this kind of stuff. Like, everything I get into happens pretty much like on the day, so you just kind of roll with it.
It makes you so much more confident, and you know, the willing to know that you're able to do these sorts of things is just gonna.
I've only ever learned from the fear. I think it's always just being thrown right into it, and it never steers me wrong, ever.
Jungle Butterfly. That's all I hear at the moment.
Yeah. She's really cool. And she is actually, she did a remix of one of my songs.
Yeah, right.
Which is really cool. And we
awesome.
sort of do a similar thing, and she pulled me aside and she said that she saw my set and she was like, "I want to do stuff like that." And so she started, doing stuff on stage. But it just goes to show that, like, when I see artists that inspire me, I just want to do that with other people. And, like, that made me so emotional that she told me that, like, I was sort of part of her process in the beginning because, like, that's all I've ever hoped for.
Yes.
And recently, one of the musicians he plays at Chair Club, and he's also a producer, and he does a lot of jazzy stuff. Alfred, he saw me sing at a club and was like, "Hey, I would like you to, like, choose a cover. And I have a channel, come in and sing. We'll put it together and you can sing this cover." And so I chose, like, my favorite artist, Spencer Krug, and we put that cover together, and he posted it on his Instagram. He saw it, which for me was like, oh my god, no! It was crazy. It was crazy that he saw it, and he's been so inspirational to me since I started that, like, it's just this feedback loop. You know what I mean? It's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Who you meet. Right place at the right time.
Yeah. No, big time. Big time.
3 of your favourite books. All-time favourite books.
Ooh, books. I really like Kafka on the Shore by Murakami. He's an incredible Japanese author, but his, like, the translations to English are also beautiful. Really transcendental kind of books. And I've always also really liked Kurt Vonnegut. So I remember I tore through a couple Kurt Vonnegut novels.
Right.
And I was like, how am I going to find another author that I like this much? And my boyfriend had actually met up with my best friend in LA. They hung out, and my best friend gave him this book, and and my partner brought the book to me right after I was like, I'll never find a better writer. And I read this book and it floored me. It's also similar to like Kurt Vonnegut's style, where it's like kind of dreamlike and like a lot of wild sort of psychedelic things happen in the book. Really metaphysical, really cool. And then the third, I would have to say poetry. So like John Ashbery, he was like a really awesome poet, specializing in, they call it nonsense poetry.
Right.
And when I found that in college, it really changed how I looked at writing, because it's not about anything specific. It's more like sketching with words and with moods and with like colloquialisms and stuff like that. So yeah, his poetry has always really inspired me too.
Very interesting, very interesting. Your 2 or 3 favorite movies of all time?
Ooh. There's a movie called The Fall, with Lee Pace, and it's about a stunt actor who ends up in a hospital in like Argentina or something, and this little girl is in the hospital with a broken arm too, and she's bored and just like wandering all around. She can barely speak English.
Yeah.
And he starts telling her these stories, these tales, and he uses different characters like Darwin and like different explorers, and as the movie happens, as he's telling the story, it shoots into like on location sets of this stuff playing out, like beautiful locations, and it's all happening inside her imagination, like 4-year-old's mind. So like when he comes on horseback with like a decree, they like open it and it's like scribbled in crayon, you know, because it's like happening in her brain, and that was one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Next I would have to say Existenz with Jude Law, and it's about a video game maker who they've made this video game that's kind of like, it's like a fleshy like controller, and the people in the room, like it plugs into them, and then it's like this like psychosis like game experience, and it's such a weird like B-made movie, but like William Dafoe is in it, like really big name actors are just like coming in left and right. And it's a really strange and fun watch.
2 or 3 artists your favorite artist? You said Van Gogh? Van Gogh?
Yeah.
Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Is he one of them?
Definitely. I love sort of like the thick applied like impressionist style. I just think it's so cool. Da Vinci's always been really interesting to me.
Yes. I
heard in my art history class that like, because he made like books of inventions, right? Like, so like he put together like blueprints for airplanes before there were even airplanes, like in the medieval times. And he would like dig up bodies, and that's how he would learn anatomy, like underground. Like, you weren't supposed to do that, but like they let him do it because he was like Da Vinci. And I heard that he had like 3 books of inventions, but he burned the last one because he thought that the world wasn't ready for it. So he just completely.
They made so many movies about him.
Yeah, sort of a cult favorite for sure. For sure.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I think when I found myself in that like first real tough breakup, you know, because it was like physical violence, and I'm like in a country that is so foreign to me, and like limited friends and stuff. I remember it was really hard on me, and I called my best friend Devin, and he said to me like, listen, I know you're probably feeling a lot of things right now, and you probably want to turn off. He's like, but you got to turn your love up to 10. And that was hard to do because I just wanted to like close off from everyone.
Yes.
And that's what I did. And I think it paid off, because then everything just started falling into place. I met beautiful people. You know, I made new love. I really just went against my instincts, and like a dial just went like boom, 10. And that helped me heal so much and let people in. So that always stuck with me, for sure.
That's great. That's very good. Last one. Who was your greatest inspiration / hero, and why?
Probably my mom. I think my mom, because we always had such a close relationship, and I know that, like, moving here, she thought it was gonna be strained because I wouldn't physically be around. And, like, most of our, like, deepest heart-to-heart conversations happened, like, in long drives, and we would be able to share music at that time too, you know, like, just I would make her CDs, and she would talk to me about what songs she really loved and why, and so we always bonded over music and talking about everything under the sun, and I've always been able to talk to her about, like, anything. And since I'm here, like, we'll get on a phone call and just be like, da 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 da, and it's 6 hours. I look at the phone, 6 hours have gone by, because she's just that kind of beautiful spirit. And
the phone would be like boiling hot, like 300 degrees.
Yeah, it's heating up. Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I think, like, she really taught me everything about music, even just from such a young age. Like here, karaoke's so big, but in the States, like, they had these huge, like, karaoke machines and wires and cords and XLRs, and we always in our basement had, like, piles and piles and piles of cords, and I didn't know what they did back then, but I know what they all do now. You know, so I really feel like as I get older and like, I'm gonna be 27, like, I feel her, like, spirit, you know, with me all the time when I'm setting up parties, and she's still doing that back home.
Wow.
You know, she's still doing it. So yeah, that spirit is always there. And
now that's a passion.
Yeah. It's so cool, because she we were always big on Halloween. Growing up, we would, like, make, like, haunted houses and, like, hay rides and stuff. And, like,
holiday.
The neighborhood would come through, and now she works for a farm that does the county's hayride, and she puts all the props together and the music, and, like, she's just, like, a powerhouse.
So cool.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Craig.
It's been a long time. You are amazing talent.
Thank you so much.
I hope you continue to do what you've done here in other places and help other bands. I think you're good at that. Keep writing music. You don't have to... Age doesn't matter. Even when you had a really bad day, just write music.
Just do it.
Right.
Yeah. That's really good advice.
And then you get out there and start again. So
yeah,
keep doing it. Make people happy.
Thanks, man. I really, really appreciate that.
And all the best.
Hey.
Cheers.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.